Hello children, I'm Anjanelu, your Faculty of English from TPIS, Talla Padmavathi International School, Warangal. Wind, a very powerful aspect of nature. When it blows gently, we enjoy its presence, calling it a lovely breeze. But when the very wind becomes stronger, it shows us its violent angle in it. I need not tell you what type of havoc or destruction it creates when it becomes violent or when it becomes stronger at times of cyclones and stormy weathers. It travels at a speed of hundreds of kilometers per hour, and it just destroys whatever that comes into its way. It uproots the trees, it blows away the housetops, and it blows away the weak houses or constructions. It breaks the wood, it breaks or kills even people. Thus, the wind in its stronger form creates a lot of destruction, causing a great harm to public life and property. Seeing this destruction initially, the poet is tempted to ask the wind. He asks why it comes so strong and why it creates a lot of destruction, damaging public properties and public lives. Then, does he receive any answer from wind? To know this, let's get into the poem Wind by Subramanya Bharati. This poem was initially written in Tamil by Subramanya Bharati and translated into English by A.K. Ramanujan, a very famous Kannada and English writer. So before we get into the poem, let's know about the poet Subramanya Bharati. Chinnaswamy Subramanya Bharati, also known as Bharatiyar, was a Tamil writer, poet, journalist, and a famous independence activist in pre-independence era, means during the times before India got independent. He is a social reformer and a polyglot, popularly known as Mahakavi Bharati. He was a pioneer of modern Tamil poetry and is considered one of the greatest Tamil literary figures of all time. His numerous works included fiery songs kindling patriotism during the Indian independence movement. You can see in the picture Subramanya Bharati with his wife Chellamma. Wind, come softly. Don't break the shutters of the windows. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. There, look what you did. You threw them all down. You tore the pages of the books. You brought rain again. You're very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Frail, crumbling houses, crumbling doors, crumbling rafters, crumbling wood, crumbling bodies, crumbling lives, crumbling hearts. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. He won't do what you tell him. So come, let's build strong homes. Let's join the doors firmly. Practice to firm the body. Make the heart steadfast. Do this and wind will be friends with us. The wind blows out weak fires. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. His friendship is good. We praise him every day. The first stanza contains the poet's request to the wind, asking it to blow softly or gently. Wind, come softly. Don't break the shutters of the windows. Don't scatter the papers. Don't throw down the books on the shelf. So the poet is requesting the wind to come softly. He is requesting the wind to come softly because the wind is blowing very strongly. And what is it doing? It's breaking the shutters of the windows. So by blowing so strong, it is actually causing a lot of damage. It's breaking the shutters of the windows. Shutters are the small doors or panels that we use to close or open the windows. And these windows, of course, they protect us from the stormy weather outside. During the rainy season or during the stormy weathers, what we do, we close the shutters of the windows in order to avoid the heavy wind blow or rain. And he asks, don't scatter the papers. It's not only breaking the shutters of the windows, but also scattering the papers. Scattering means throwing hither, thither in a disorder, throwing in all directions. Here, the wind is scattering, throwing the papers in his room in all uh, directions. And it's throwing down the books that are on the shelf. There are some books on the shelf. This heavy wind is throwing those books down. Thus, the stanza 1 uh, describes the destructive attitude or the mischief played by the wind. The the stanza 1 describes how the wind makes a mess of the things in the poet's room. Now, coming to the second stanza, There, look what you did. You threw them all down. Who is you here? Yes, the wind. The poet talking to the wind, speaking to the wind. In fact, he is accusing the wind of throwing all the books down from the shelf. Here the poet is complaining against wind. Why? Because it's throwing down the books from his shelf, and it even tore the pages of the books. It just not only threw them down, but even it threw, sorry, it tore the pages of the books. He even complains against the wind, saying that it brought the rain again, causing a lot of discomfort. And again, speaking to the wind, the poet expresses his opinion that the wind is very clever at poking fun at weaklings. Means making fun of weaklings. Weaklings are weak bodies or persons. So here the poet opines that or feels that the wind makes fun of all those who are weak. It doesn't affect the strong. It mainly affects the weak things. What are those weak things here mentioned in the poem? Frail, crumbling houses. Frail means weak. Crumbling houses. The weak houses that are being broken into pieces. Crumbling doors. The weak doors that are being broken into pieces. Crumbling rafters. Rafters are the wooden beams that we use in house construction to support the roof, especially in olden days. Uh, the houses, they used to have roofs with tiles. So to support that structure, we need a wooden frame, and that wooden frame is made up of beams. So those beams are called rafters. So here, those rafters also being broken, crumbling bodies. The bodies are also being broken. Means it's killing people or the living things, crumbling lives, those subduing lives, lives that are unable to withstand, the lives or the bodies that are unable to withstand the strong winds, and crumbling hearts, the weak hearts that are giving up, unable to face the challenges posed by the strong and sudden wind. So in the second stanza, we find poet's voice rather complaining. He complains against the wind for making all the things in his room a mess, for tearing the pages of his books, for bringing rain again, and even mainly playing with the weak things, making fun of weak things, damaging or killing the weak things. And moving on to the next stanza, the wind god winnows and crushes them all. The wind god winnows and crushes them all. You know what is winnowing? Farmers, they winnow. What they do when they winnow? They separate the grain from the husk. For that, you can see in the picture here, standing on certain height, farmers, they hold the soup of the grain and all against the wind blow. What happens then? That blowing wind separates the grain from the husk. The light husk, that is the husk that is so light in its weight, is blown away by the wind. The heavy grain, withstanding the powers of the wind, it falls down on the ground. So here the poet says the wind god winnows and crushes them all. The wind god winnows means separating and crushes them all. The wind god separates the weak from the strong. On whom the wind is showing its power? On the weak bodies, or on the weak minds, or on the weak things. So he winnows. He separates the weak from the strong and crushes them all. And then he destroys all the weak things. He won't do what you tell him. He won't do what you tell him. He means here the wind god. Wind god is not going to listen to you. You is here who? We, the reader, whoever reads the poem. So you refers to the reader. Here the poet is talking to the reader. And what he says, wind is not going to listen our words. If we request the wind, it's not going to stop. It's harsh or the strong blow. So come, let's build strong houses. So the poet is advising the reader. There is no use if we complain against the wind, because it's not going to listen to our words and it's not going to stop its strong blow or its destruction. So for that, what is he advising? The poet is asking us, come, let's build strong homes. If we make our home strong, if we make our houses strong, if we build them strongly, if we join the doors firmly, we have to join the doors, we have to fix the doors again. How? Firmly, strongly. Practice to firm the body. The poet also advises us to practice, to do exercises or whatever, to make our body firm or strong and make the heart steadfast. Again, not only physically strong, we also need to be strong and good mentally. So the poet is asking the reader, in order to protect ourselves from the strong currents of the wind, we need to make our home strong. We need to join the doors firmly. We need to make our body and mind strong. Do this and wind will be friends with us. So he says, if we do this, if we build our home strongly, if we make our body and mind strong, then the wind will become our friend. How? A good example is given here in the poem. The wind blows out weak fires. Suppose the fire is very weak and suddenly, let us assume there is a wind blow. What happens to that fire? Yes, that fire, those weak fires will be extinguished by the blowing wind. And the very blowing wind, what does it do with the strong fires, He makes strong. He means here the wind. He makes strong fires roar and flourish. The blowing wind, it just extinguishes the weak fires, destroys the weak fires. but it encourages the strong fires. It encourages the fires that are very strong and make them even stronger and bigger and flourish. It made those fires to grow even better. So here itself we can understand. Here, the blowing wind, the wind is actually troubling the weak things. It's not going to damage our houses if we build them strongly. It's not going to kill us or disturb us if we are strong in body and mind. Just like the wind destroys only the weak fires, it cannot destroy the strong fires, but it helps the strong fires to flourish, to grow even bigger and stronger. His friendship is good. Thus, when we make friends with the wind, that would be good. And how can we make friends with the wind? By making ourselves strong. When we become strong in mind and body, when we make our home strong, then that wind won't trouble us, but it helps us a lot. And then we start enjoying the company or the companionship or the friendship of wind God, and we praise him every day. Instead of complaining against the wind, then we start appreciating the wind or praising the wind for all the good it does. Wind does good to us when we acquire the strength, when we gain the strength by making ourselves strong to withstand the forces of the wind. Till now, we have seen the superficial meaning of the poem Wind, the external meaning of the poem. Now, let us try to understand what inner meaning the poem has for us. The wind in the poem is actually the challenging situations or the difficult situations or the hardships that we are likely to face in our life. And naturally, the problems or the challenging situations or the catastrophes, unexpected problems, they do come in our life quite unexpectedly. So, and when they come, they cause a lot of damage to us in person and to our life. In the poem, we have noticed the wind has troubled only the weaklings or the weak persons or things. In the same way, in times of challenging situations, in times of problematic situations, in times of troubles and tribulations, it is the weak people who are weak in body and mind bear the brunt of the situations. Means they suffer the worst consequences of those challenging situations. Just like the wind hasn't done anything to the strong, the problems in our life, its challenging situations or the hardships in our life do not affect us when we are strong physically and mentally. In the poem, the poet asks the reader to build strong homes and to make strong body and mind. He only means that when we are prepared physically and mentally, when we are positive enough in our mind to face the challenges that are inevitable in everybody's life, then those situations will not let us down. When we are in a position to withstand the challenging situations of life by making our body and mind strong, then those problems won't affect us much. We proving our composure in times of difficulties. We think about the problem and we'll try to find a solution instead of giving up before them. So, what meaning or what message the poem has for us here? The poem is actually inspiring us to be strong in body and mind so that we can confront the unwanted or untoward situations that come in our life, and we can overcome them, finding a way to do so. So, in the poem, we have seen that the wind has blown out the weak fires and made the strong fires roar and flourish. Means it destroyed the weak fires and it supported the strong fires. In the same way, the problems or the challenging situations or the catastrophes that we face in the life, they benefit us by making us even stronger. And that's how we become successful. The people who are strong in body and mind will become successful by overcoming the different hurdles or the hardships they face in course of life, while the weak will subdue to those situations and they remain a failure in the life. This is what the message we're supposed to learn from this poem, Wind.